Once you accept that AI is already inside your business, the next mistake leaders make is chasing tools. New platform, new software, new shiny object. But AI isn't a tool problem, it's a strategy problem. If you don't decide why you're using AI, your tech stack will decide for you. And most businesses end up with more complexity, not more leverage. This episode is about shifting from experimentation to intention, from what can AI do to what should AI do here. Because AI should support your business strategy and not distract from it. My name is Jim Ahlin. I'm the host of the Roofing Success Podcast, and I'm here today with Rosalynn Verges from the AI Roofing Revolution. Roz!
Hi. Thanks for having me back, Jim.
Yeah, awesome. What does an AI strategy look like?
Yeah, well, I think honestly, before you're even thinking about your AI strategy, you should really have a good business strategy. Huh. Quite the concept, right? Yep.
Good concept. Yeah.
Yep. And I think this is important because really your AI strategy shouldn't stand alone. So a really good AI strategy complements your business strategy and it helps you move the needle toward achieving that business strategy. And ideally, it shortens your time on that business strategy. So maybe your strategic plan was one that you originally envisioned for 2 or 3 years out. What if we used AI to shrink that down to a year and a half, right? So that's what I would be thinking about as we're thinking about our AI strategy. We're coming up with the plan that's going to complement our overall vision that we have for our business.
Okay, let's go back a step then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what are the things that they should do to have an effective business strategy?
Yeah, well, if I'm thinking about a business strategy, the first thing I should start with is really casting my vision. So where do I want to go as an organization? I think it's really important as an organization to make sure that your vision actually aligns with you and what you want for your organization as kind of your core leadership team. The reason I say this is a lot of times it's easy to get into that kind of compare mode where we see another organization, we see them succeeding, we've seen how they've built their business and it's like, oh man, that looks so great. I really want that, But the reality is like that lifestyle and how they're operating may not be what you actually envision for yourself. Or maybe you don't even need to get to that size in order to achieve the real dreams that you have for yourself. And so I think really starting with understanding what your true motivations and desires and expectations are for your business is a really great place to align your vision.
Okay.
And then from there, you should be breaking that down into, okay, well, what do I need to accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years? And then you can kind of simplify and say, like, what am I doing on a year-to-year basis to work toward that vision of growth that I want to have?
All right. What is something that a company can do to kind of get to that outcome?
Yeah.
Is there a process or a tool or something like that they could use?
Yeah. I mean, I love working through a SWOT analysis. It's a great process to kind of go through and understand what are your business's strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. For me, I think starting there can be a great way to kind of see what levers can you pull?
Okay.
Right? What levers could I pull to have more success? And again, I would also say, layering into that kind of the revenue or financial picture that needs to happen on an annual basis and kind of, I like to reverse engineer for my clients. And so a lot of times we'll work toward, okay, what's the goal that you want to have? How do we walk it backward and break it into smaller chunks? We're not going to eat the entire elephant, but what are the strategic initiatives that are going to actually help us have success toward those outcomes that we want, usually some type of revenue, usually some type of culture or, vision for the company, how it will take shape and what it will look like, what it will feel like for your employees. And then again, maybe how that's going to look like from an expansion and services standpoint. What will that mean for your customers? So thinking about your internal customers and your external customers and how that's going to kind of come to fruition.
I mean, I've known about SWOT analysis and done them over the years in a lot of ways. I never thought about it in terms of implementing AI.
Yeah.
Right. So let's break that down. Let's start with conducting an AI SWOT analysis, maybe, and help everyone let's get them the the ability to do this on their own?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So starting with the SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So starting with your strengths. If you've already done that practice of breaking it down for your organization, you can now look at those strengths that you have and start to layer in where AI could help you amplify those strengths, right? So we want to enhance them. We want to make them even better. So let's say you've really focused on your craft and your craftsmanship. So you deliver a really high quality experience for your customers. You make sure that you provide, top tier products, etc., work with the best subs in the industry, whatever. If you're really focused on that quality, you could be utilizing AI to make sure that your quality is getting even better, and where and how might you lean into that. Or maybe you're really customer focused on a customer experience. I think about a client that I've had in the past where they give all of their new clients maple syrup as just part of their brand. It's really sweet. It kind of aligns with who they are. But they're really thinking about those extra touches that make that customer experience even better. And so if you're already really leaned into that area of business, okay, great. Let's use AI to continue to customize and personalize your approach in that customer experience. And so, yeah, I would really start with, what are your strengths? What are you doing really well as a business? And then how can you use AI to amplify that? Now,
for someone that doesn't know their strengths.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Sure.
A lot of business owners, we just get busy, man. We're just we're in it so much that we haven't sat down and thought about what are our strengths.
Yeah.
What's a good way to determine the strengths of their business?
Yeah, if you're doing any type of reviews, a lot of us in our industry, we do utilize like Google reviews, et cetera. You could actually be utilizing AI to review your reviews and search out certain keywords, like providing it, say, hey, look at my website, look at my customer reviews, and tell me what are the strengths that seem to rise out, right? Yeah. What do my customers say about why they keep coming back? And that's the question I like to ask is like, why do people choose me over somebody else? Yeah. What makes me special? What's my unique offering that I have that somebody else doesn't have?
I think that's really cool. So this is what you could do. What she's saying is go copy and paste your Google reviews.
Yep.
And put them into like ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok, whichever one, it depends on how you want to be spoken to.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Put them into the LLM of your choice. And what would you write as a prompt?
Yeah.
In that situation?
Well, it depends on if I were doing a lazy prompt. I could just say like, hey, check out these reviews and tell me what my customers highlight as the reasons to work with me or what makes us exceptional, right? I could do a more detailed prompt where I could tell the LLM, you are an expert marketer and competitive analysis agent, and go through these reviews and identify which elements of this within these reviews are going to have the biggest impact or talked about, are trending the most in my industry with my customers, and help bring those out so that I can take them and use them to amplify my pitch for what our unique value proposition is.
Yeah.
So maybe going a little more detailed, giving, we always kind of talk about this concept of like role, task, context, and goal. And so by giving your LLM an understanding of what is its role, what's the job it's trying to do, what's the task, what do you want it to complete, what's the context, like tell it more about yourself, about your business, about whatever, and that'll help your industry, for example. That'll help just kind of go from a whole world of information and knowledge and shrink it into being a little more focused, right? And then the goal, what's the end outcome that you want to see from that? That would be how I'd up the prompt a little bit better.
Yeah. You could probably tell it you're doing a SWOT analysis.
100%. Yes, absolutely. Great tip, Jim. Yes, I love that. Yeah, that would be really helpful context.
So now they have their strengths.
Yep.
Now they have to find their weaknesses.
Yeah. I think a lot of us actually know our weaknesses, and sometimes that's probably one that feels a little bit more glaring for a lot of us, right? And so I would practice self-honesty It's okay because every organization has weaknesses, and we should all be working toward continuous improvement, right? And so now I'm going to use AI once I've started to identify like, oh, maybe we're just really tapped on customer support. Like we've got a big flow and we have a hard time responding as quickly as we would like to, right? Or, hey, our quality has been down a little bit as we've been working to get some continuity between our subcontractors, or, our employees aren't very well trained because we have a lot of turn each season, or we bring on a lot of new people each season, and we really haven't had time to do the training the way that we would like to, right? I think these are, we kind of feel within our body those places, those spaces that keep us up at night that, oh, I just wish this was better in my business. Those are probably your weaknesses, if I'm being honest, right? And so now when we're layering in AI for that, we really want to try to support those areas with AI, especially through AI automation, if we can. So let's talk about the training one, because I think that's a lot of us, right? We wish we had more time to document our processes. We wish we had more time to pull together training resources. Well, now with AI, we can utilize those tools to have an on-demand coach available with really not that much work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really develop, I was just thinking as you were saying that, like you could really just develop every single, you could develop a full training manual.
Yeah.
You could just, if with a good prompt, you could probably just have it write a full training manual for you with every SOP for every role in your roofing business.
Yeah, absolutely. It wouldn't even take that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you could take that and make a notebook LLM out of it that your team can utilize.
Yeah.
And like there's like, it's fascinating how fast you can get things done nowadays.
Right. And so maybe I'll use the example too, Jim, like we talked about the training piece, but like talking about the subcontractors, right? Like, oh, we just haven't had consistency.
Yeah.
You can be utilizing AI to help source and grade and score your subcontractors, so you have a better idea of what you want to communicate and ask for from them. Like, again, a lot of us, we use kind of those gut feelings of like, oh, well, I know this one is doing a great job and I know this one is underperforming, but having the details as to like, what specifically would you like to see them improving on?
So maybe having the metrics first, right? What metrics, what metrics are you measuring your subcontractors with on a job-to-job basis? And then taking that data and feeding it through AI. To score it.
To help you score.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And if you don't even know, well, what metrics should I be using? Asking AI to help you generate those metrics or create that scorecard, right? So now we're taking our weaknesses that we have and we're starting to support them through AI tools.
On to opportunities.
Yeah. So when we're talking about our strengths and weaknesses, those are really internally focused within our organizations. We're thinking about like, what does our organization do well? Where do we have some opportunity to improve? When we move into opportunities and threats, now we're looking externally outside of our organization. So as I start to think about, things like the economy or our industry or our customer base, those are going to be our external opportunities and threats. So with our opportunities, we might be thinking about, when it comes to AI, are there new AI opportunities to help us with expansion, or is there some type of new tool that we could be layering in to, increase our revenue, to respond to some type of external, need? So maybe an example that I'll give of this is right now, our world is kind of learning a new way to buy, a new way to interact, right? And so as we talked about in the first episode, all of these software companies adding in chatbots, right? And so people are starting to get more conditioned to interacting with some type of like AI voice or an AI agent. And so you can kind of use that knowledge to say like, oh, well, that's an opportunity for me as, outside of my organization, the environment is changing. How could I be responding to that within my organization and kind of leaning into that opportunity?
Yep. And then threats. The threat is AI. So, Roz, what do we do there? The opportunity and the threat is
it really
AI.
is, for sure. Yeah, I think it's very real, Jim. Like, we laugh about it, but it is not untrue that the companies that are resistant to change, resistant to AI, that they are going to have a negative impact in their organizations. You're just going to see your competitors thriving because they're going to adopt and you're not, and you're going to be left behind. And that's unfortunate, but that really is a very real threat, right?
It's a real threat.
Yeah.
And it's moving fast.
Right. So. It is. Another threat that we talked about in the last episode was an example of the economy, right? Yes. Like as the economy changes or your consumer buyer patterns change, those can pose threats to us that we're not really in control of. But again, we could be utilizing AI to kind of be able to respond to those threats in a way that maybe our business hadn't been able to in the past.
We have our strengths, or we've looked at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats. Now, how do we take that and use that information?
Yeah. So I would take that information, and again, I would kind of work it backwards, right? I would start to identify, now you've got kind of a list of idea generation, some pieces that are maybe for today and, this year, your 2026, maybe some of them are a little more long-term, especially probably in that opportunity area. Adding AI infrastructure to your business, new AI tools, new AI offerings shouldn't be something that you're just doing in a blink of an eye without really understanding or making shifts within your organization on more of the simple level, process level first. And so I would really encourage people to be very wise in how they're approaching those opportunities, making sure they're working with professionals who really do understand the technology. There's a lot of vibe coding. In fact, actually, it was just named Collins Dictionary's word of the year is vibe coding. And so there are a lot of people out there making some really cool proof of concept AI tools right now, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're production ready, meaning that you should have them be customer facing or that they're ready to deploy with consistency or reliability. And so I think really making sure that when you're thinking about those opportunities, you're strategic in how you go about them. Maybe that's a little later in your plan, right? But going through and kind of looking at your list that you've created with your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and identifying what's the low-hanging fruit? What could we be doing right now that's not a huge lift to start to implement and make those steps? And then what are some of those things that we want to get to with time as we continue to grow in our knowledge and understanding of AI tools?
And I know we're going to go into this a lot more deeply and probably around the AI math episode that we're going to be doing around setting goals, tracking ROI, and measuring the progress of these types of things. But you have to, I guess what I'm hearing from you is mapping everything out. Right? You have to know where you're going. Right? Know where you're going, find that future, see where you want to implement these things around the things like using that SWOT analysis, right? Around your strengths, around your weaknesses, around the opportunities that are external to you and the threats that are external to you. And I want to, you had mentioned like some tools and things like that. Like people are going, you could go really deep, really fast and get down some rabbit holes. Right? Like, there's some new additions to like the Google Maps API or the Google Maps right now. In terms of like it'll measure reflectivity of roofs. It'll do like there's some really, really crazy stuff. And so but it takes that person to identify, ooh, this is what AI is doing. There's a business function here, but I need to know how it'll fit in to my business. And I think that's a core thing that we're talking about today is identify your business and where AI can really fit in and enhance
100%.
what you're doing.
Yeah. And Jim, I mean, like I love the litmus test of, does this fit with my overall business strategy? Like, come back to that. If it doesn't support your long-term goals and vision and direction, sure, like you can say, well, maybe I've got new goals and a new direction, and that's fine up to a certain point. Your employees can only handle so many pivots, and the success of that plan is your commitment to it. Right? And so you really should be looking at, like there's a lot of great ideas. I kind of say, I use this example of like, as you start to learn AI, it's that age-old analogy, when you're holding the hammer, everything looks like a nail. But, if I spend 4 weeks implementing an AI process that only saves me 12 minutes of time, like, is that really worth it, right? Yeah. And so finding and identifying those places that are going to really give you the ROI, I think really matters. And then again, like, not just ROI. ROI for what? Does it move you toward what you are trying to achieve as a business? Does it align with your unique value proposition? Does it align with who you are and how you want to move through the world? Coming back to that, company, if your unique value proposition is that you've been very customer centric and now you've shifted to just all AI chatbots and there's never a human in the loop and there's no people interaction, well, now you've just gone in a very different direction from your brand.
Yeah.
And so is that going to resonate with your client base? It might not. And so you need to really be thinking strategically about those choices.
Definitely. Well, now you have some tools to make those choices. Join us on the next episode, where we're going to talk about reimagining your org chart. So we're going to get into the human element a lot, which is what Roz loves.
I do.
So much.
I do. I don't know if you saw, but you said reimagining the org chart. My face just lit up because it's just one of my favorite parts for sure.
See you on the next episode.